6 years ago, Trump signed a trade deal and called it the best and most important one America has ever made. This week, his own administration let it die on the table. No renewal, no extension, and almost nobody outside of trade policy circles even noticed. If you drive a car, buy groceries, or work anywhere near a supply chain, this decision just quietly changed your cost of living. Here's what actually happened and what it means for your money. In January 2020, standing at a podium, Trump called the USMCA the fairest, most balanced, and beneficial trade agreement the US had ever signed into law. The best agreement America had ever made. It replaced NAFTA. It governs roughly $2 trillion in trade every single year between the US, Mexico, and Canada. On July 1st, 2026, 6 years to the day after that deal took effect, the Trump administration announced it would not renew it. Not with fireworks, not with a dramatic Oval Office signing, just a quiet call with reporters. So the question isn't, why did he end a deal he loved? The real question is, what changed and what does it mean for your wallet? Let's break it down. Here's the mechanism. Most coverage is skipping. USMCA has a built-in review clause. Every 6 years, the three countries have to sit down and decide whether to renew it for another 16 years. July 1st was that deadline. The administration's stated reason for walking away centers on one number: the trade deficit the US runs with both Canada and Mexico, which the administration says grew significantly during the Biden years. In their view, the deal was supposed to rebalance trade in America's favor. It didn't happen the way the White House wanted. But there's a bigger piece of context here. Since the start of his second term, Trump has leaned on sweeping tariffs as his primary trade weapon, including 25% tariffs slapped on both Canada and Mexico last year. The problem? USMCA has tariff exemptions baked into it for compliant goods. So the deal and the tariff strategy have been working against each other. Letting the renewal lapse removes that friction. And the two neighbors reacted differently. Canada retaliated against the tariffs. Mexico did not, and is now in active talks with the White House, with a third round of bilateral negotiations scheduled for the week of July 20th. That's not a coincidence. Punish the retaliator, negotiate with the cooperator. That's the pattern. Now, here's where I want to slow down, because most headlines are overstating this. USMCA is not dead. The deal remains in effect and is now expected to run until 2036. But instead of a clean 16-year renewal, it moves into a period of ongoing annual reviews and negotiation. Think of it less like a divorce and more like a marriage where one partner just said, "I'm not signing a new long-term lease. We are renegotiating terms year by year." Withdrawing from the agreement entirely is technically possible, but it requires a 6-month exit process, and there's a real legal question about whether the president even has the authority to fully exit without congressional approval, since Congress originally approved the deal. So what actually changed today isn't that trade with Canada and Mexico stopped. What changed is the certainty. Supply chains, especially in the auto industry, where parts cross all three borders multiple times before a car is finished, depend on knowing the rules won't shift under them. That certainty is now gone, replaced by a rolling negotiation with no fixed end date. That uncertainty is the actual story, and uncertainty has a price. It shows up in your life in 3 places: your car, your groceries, and your job market. Let's get specific about how this lands on you. 1. Cars. Auto manufacturing is the most USMCA dependent industry in America. A single vehicle's parts can cross the US-Mexico-Canada border 6, 7, 8 times during assembly, each time under USMCA's duty-free rules. If those exemptions get renegotiated or narrowed, expect that cost to eventually show up on sticker prices, new and used. 2. Everyday goods, produce, packaged food, industrial inputs, appliances, a huge share of what's on US shelves moves through this trade corridor. Tariff uncertainty doesn't just raise prices when tariffs actually go up. It raises prices in anticipation because businesses build in a margin for risk. You may see that show up in prices before any new tariff is even announced. 3. Jobs and wages. Companies hate planning around uncertainty. Manufacturing and logistics firms with cross-border operations may slow hiring, delay expansion, or freeze wage increases until they know what the rules will actually look like a year or two from now. If you work in manufacturing, logistics, agriculture, or auto, this is the sector to watch most closely over the next 12 months. Here's what to actually do with this information. Not fear, just preparation. Step 1. If you're buying a car this year, don't wait indefinitely. Vehicle prices tend to react to tariff and trade uncertainty faster than almost any other consumer category. If you've been planning a purchase in the next 6 to 12 months, price volatility is more likely up than down. Lock in financing terms now if you're already shopping. Step 2. Build a small tariff buffer into your monthly grocery and household budget. You don't need to panic stockpile anything. Just mentally plan for a 3 to 5% creep on cross-border goods over the coming year, so it doesn't blindside your budget when it happens gradually. Step 3. If your income depends on manufacturing, agriculture, or logistics tied to Canada or Mexico, treat this as a signal to strengthen your emergency fund. Not because a layoff is guaranteed, but because hiring freezes and delayed raises are common responses to this kind of policy uncertainty. 3 to 6 months of expenses in a liquid account is your buffer against a slower job market in these sectors specifically. Step 4. Watch Mexico's negotiations, not Canada's, for the real signal. Mexico is actively negotiating, with the next round scheduled for late July. If that produces a deal, it becomes the template for what acceptable trade terms look like going forward. And that's a much better leading indicator for prices than any headline about tariffs. Step 5. Diversify where you can. If you're invested in sector-specific funds tied to auto manufacturing or agriculture, understand that you're now holding policy uncertainty risk on top of normal market risk. That's not a reason to panic sell. It's a reason to know what you own. Here's the honest takeaway. This isn't a trade deal getting killed in some dramatic collapse. It's a trade deal getting put on a shorter leash with a president who's traded predictability for negotiating leverage. Whether that trade pays off for American consumers or costs them is going to play out over the next year, not overnight. But you don't have to wait to find out the hard way. Build the buffer, watch the Mexico talks, and don't let sticker shock catch you off guard. If you want to understand exactly how tariffs actually move prices, not the talking points, the mechanics, I broke that down in this video right here. Subscribe if you want to stay ahead of this instead of reading about it after your grocery bill already went up.